Good Monday morning. It's November 30th, 2020. I'm Guy McPherson of GuyMcPherson.com, otherwise known as Nature Bats Last. I'm going to provide a few headlines and then indicate what happened in the markets, stock markets since Friday, the news since Friday, and then an indication of where the stock markets are headed today in the United States at the open. From last Friday, a short week on Wall Street because of the Thanksgiving holiday here in the United States. So a short but all positive week for the barons on Wall Street, as all three major indices finished strongly positive. And this from after the close last Friday from the Spectator in the UK from last Friday. The headline is Italy is about to hijack the Eurozone. And here's the story in a paragraph. With Italian debt soaring as it pays for one of the worst outbreaks of COVID-19 on the back of one of the world's weakest economies, calls are being made for that debt to be forgiven. Riccardo Fraccaro, the Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte's closest aide, has started demanding the canceling of sovereign bonds bought during the pandemic or perpetually extending their maturity, which is sort of the same thing, since a debt with a perpetually extended maturity is a polite way of saying it is a debt you don't plan to ever repay. So that's the story in a paragraph from the story. It's an up and down series of headlines as you typically see here. This from Fox Business: Black Friday hits record $9 billion in U.S. consumer spending. Pandemic is not going to keep people away from Walmart, not in this country. From USA Today: winter is coming, and millions may lose their jobs in restaurants and hospitality. So Sam Walton and family are doing fine. The barons on Wall Street are doing great, and people are losing their jobs and suffering as a result. From CNN: U.S. is rounding the corner into a calamity, expert says, with COVID-19 deaths projected to double soon. So remind me again how it's a scamdemic or a plandemic, because the elites want a bunch of people to die. If you're still promoting that idea, if you're still promulgating the idea that the 1% want a bunch of us to die, then two things are going on. One, you're an ignorant idiot, and two, you don't understand the aerosol masking effect at all. Who do you think makes the most money from maintaining this set of living arrangements? You and me? No, not at all. Think about the 0.1% and the 1%, the so-called elite that want to keep this whole show going. They're the ones who benefit. They don't want this to stop in any way, shape, or form. They've known about overshoot for 2 generations at least, human population overshoot. We're not slowing this ship down on purpose. I guarantee you that. Meanwhile, this character wants to go by Professor Plum today. That's why we're meeting in the library, and he asked me to bring a rope. I don't know what that's about. Maybe I don't have a clue? Anyway, from the story that I just mentioned at CNN, the U.S. is rounding the corner into a calamity. Here's the story in a paragraph. The U.S. has now reported more than 100,000 infections every day for 26 consecutive days. The daily average in the week to Friday, last Friday, when the markets closed at the end of a short week, the daily average in the week to Friday was more than 166,000, almost 2.5 times higher than the summer's peak counts in July. That was during the second wave, the summer's peak counts in July. Indeed, according to BuzzFeed News, the U.S. recorded more than 4 million COVID-19 cases in the month of November. If that sounds like a lot, then you understand math. As one consequence, as reported from the Wall Street Journal, public transit agencies slash services staff as coronavirus keeps ridership low. But on the other hand, from Fox Business, Dow, S&P 500 head for the best November since 1928. That's from 2 days ago, Saturday. From Politico, on the other hand, how climate change could spark the next home mortgage disaster. Here's the subhead: taxpayers are backing more than $1 trillion in home mortgages taxpayers back in that more than $1 trillion in home mortgages. But the agencies buying them are neglecting to consider climate change. What could possibly go wrong with a government neglecting to account for neglecting to account for climate change? In my English voice that time. From Bloomberg, Cyber Monday projected to hit pandemic-fueled $12.7 billion. That's today. That's the upside of a pandemic, is it ain't stopping nobody in the United States from going to their favorite stores and spending money. After all, they haven't had a new TV for a while, and now they're locked in their home much of their day. So they clearly need a new TV and a new sound system and blah, 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 blah. So in a slight revision from that Fox Business story, which indicated that Dow and S&P 500 headed for the best November since 1928. Oh, 1928, right before the monster crash, leading us into the first Great Depression, right? So the slight revision from CNBC this morning, the Dow is set to about 130 points higher, 130 points lower, but it's still on track for its best month since 1987. Now not 1928, but its best month since 1987. Still, it's all up for the barons on Wall Street and all down for the poor slobs on Main Street. That's me and you. At 9:36 a.m. Eastern Time, just 6 minutes after the market opens with the 30-minute lag, something of a surprise. Dow Jones and S&P 500 are both strongly negative at this point, and the NASDAQ is barely green. So, surprise, surprise, it's not all good news, and therefore the barons of Wall Street might not enjoy good news for much longer. We'll see. And I know, it's early.